welcome to my channel. This is episode 1 of my brand new podcast, and I am so excited to get started here. I have been putting it off for so long, and as you can see, I'm recording from my phone. I'm throwing this together because if I wait till I got my nails done, until I've got the camera set up perfectly, until I've got everything ready to go, I'm going to keep putting this off. So today's the day. I can't keep thinking about it anymore. So welcome. And this is definitely going to be an episode 1 where I'm probably going to stumble over my words. I'm going to make mistakes. My editing is probably going to be horrific till I can convince one of my kids to help me out. Here we go. There's another so I'm going to apologize now because they're going to be there. I'm going to catch myself, but this might be a long journey. I hope you have something to drink. I was out running errands with my youngest. We grabbed some boba from a local place, and that's what we're sipping on. So a little introduction. My name is Mandy, and I have a husband, Mike. We've got 3 daughters. One is moved out, married, and living her own life not far from us, thank goodness, so we get to see her quite a bit still. We've still got 2 younger girls living at home with us. Well, younger. Our middle daughter is 19. She's in college. She's working and just living life, enjoying things. And our youngest is in high school. So that's our life. We went from crazy busy with 3 kids. Now we're just down to really running the one around. She doesn't drive yet, and she plays soccer. So our lives have been so busy with that, but now things are kind of slowing down, and I finally have time to work on this podcast. So here we go. Let's start this ride. So what my goal is for 2026 is to work through all of my WIPS that have been sitting around and driving me insane for years, because I'll go to the shop, I'll buy new yarn, I'll be ready to make a new project. I'm like, I'm gonna finish this project first before I start the next one. Nope, start the next one, and the other ones just sit and sit and sit. And I know a lot of knitters, crocheters, crafty people in general, people in life, you procrastinate, you put off the old projects, new ones are exciting, and it's always fun to I knit and I crochet. So getting those first new stitches with the fresh new yarn and winding it is just, it's the thrill of all that. So my goal for 2026 though is each month of the year, I want to finish a major project that has just been looming in a basket somewhere. And that's where you guys come in. I'm excited to share my year with you guys. I'm excited to share the WIPS, and I'm excited. I'm not going to restrict myself to not buying new yarn because I have new yarn coming in monthly. I have new yarn that I'm planning to buy that is in my cart. And there's a big yarn festival coming up in April that I'm already planning on going to. So, going to have to buy some yarn there. And I don't want to put restrictions on myself. I've got a list longer than my WIP pile of projects that I want to do. So, I don't want to restrict myself. This is my hobby. If I don't get things done, I'm not too concerned about it. So it is what it is. In 2025, so last year, it was my year. It wasn't bringing me joy. Why continue doing it? I mean, no one's forcing me to. I don't do this for money. I do this purely for fun. I like to do stuff while I'm watching TV. I watch a lot of reruns. I watch a lot of movies. I watch a lot of sitcoms, like binge watch old sitcoms. And mindless crafting while I'm doing that is it is a perfect evening. And my husband is a gamer, so he's occupied doing that. The kids are older now, so they're off doing their own thing, and I play with yarn all night. So it's exciting for me. But let's jump right in to how 2026 is going. And I am proud to say I'm sticking to my goal of finishing a big we're only finishing up February here, but I have so far stuck to my goal, and I pulled out a project that my mom and I started a couple years ago. I think it was 2022 or 2023. I'll have to look through my notebook, which I do have. Luckily I was keeping this, and then I lost it for months, and I was going nuts because I'm like, every note, it says what hook I used, it said what yarn I used. Everything was in this silly book, my start dates, my finish dates, and then I lost it. And I was like, this is like my Bible almost of knitting. Like, what am I going to do without this? And anyway, I finally found it again. And anyway, either way, I started it 2023 or 2024. We bought these kits of Malabrigo yarn in a worsted weight, and we were making the same blanket. Well, the blanket pattern that we were making, it was like a 7-row repeat maybe, and I could not for the life of me read my stitches. So if I would ever put it down without finishing that cluster of stitches, when I picked it back up days, weeks later, I wouldn't know where I was. So I was constantly frogging 3 or 4 rows, and then I'd do 15 rows, you know, over a weekend where I kept track. And then all of a sudden I'd come back to it a week or so later, be like, oh my gosh, where was I? And back it up. I was over it. My mom finished her blanket. Hers is done, sitting on the couch. She's snuggling up with it every time I visit her. I love it. Mine was still in pieces. So frogged it all, rewound my yarn, started a new blanket. I started the faded blanket. Let's see. This is called the Faded Blanket by Leo's Lovely Treasures. All my notes are down here. So if I look down, that's what I'm doing. So this is the Faded Blanket by Leo's Lovely Treasures. I used a size 7. I used Chowgu needles. So size 7. And I finished this January 30th, I think. I was maybe halfway done, and I just full force in January. That is almost all that I worked on. So it basically has these repeats where you do, this is only 4 rows, but you do 8 rows, and then you do 2, 2, 2, and you slowly fade. Whoops, let's show the right side. You slowly fade from one color to the next until you're all the way through your blanket. So the stripes are supposed to go this way. But the problem was when the blanket my mom and I made, that we started, the pattern was for worsted weight. When I started this one, the pattern numbers that I was following was more of a DK weight, probably even less. And so it is like 280 something stitches wide. And I just had to, I had to keep adding more and more colors. I'd have to go back to the store. Luckily, we have 2 yarn shops near us. I'm in the St. Louis area. So we have 2 yarn shops that I could go to. I traveled with my mom up to Peoria, Illinois, I believe, or Bloomington. It was in Bloomington, Illinois. The yarn shop is now closed or on a temporary hiatus. I'm not sure what's going on. But we went there, and I kept adding more and more colors, and I'm like, okay, this blanket is just never ending. It is going to take me a lifetime to continue this to make it long enough. So now it's just wider than it is long. My husband said when it's laid out, it looks like a beach towel. Perfectly fine. I just cover up with it this way, and we move on with our life. So this is, I mean, it's giant, and it is, I don't know if you've ever worked with Malabrigo yarn. It washed so perfectly. I put it in a mesh bag. I just washed it. I hung it over our banister to dry. I didn't block it. I have not mastered blocking anything yet. So I hung it up, I let it dry, and now I'm just loving the heck out of it. It's on my recliner upstairs, and it is just the softest, coziest blanket I have ever come in contact with. And it was done in January. So that was WIP number 1 for the year, and goal number 1 done. So now we're on to February, and my February goal was this Sunburst Granny Square that I started, and I joined the year-long stitch along, I don't know what you want to call it, yarn club, I guess. I joined that with Moonglow Yarn Co. She is one of my favorite hand dyers. I have bought so much yarn from her, but this was the 2025 yarn club, and I had started it. I didn't join the club until the first month had maybe come out. I think January had been released, and she had explained what she was doing. She showed her squares, maybe January and February, but she opened up a couple more for a quarterly subscription. So I would get 3 months at a time. So I started getting my yarns in March. I got January, February, and March. So I guess then April, May, and June came in June, because anyone who joined the whole year-long club got theirs one bundle a month. And with that club, each month you got a bundle of 10 hand-dyed yarns to coordinate with whatever color. So like for January is this top row. So you got all these gorgeous reds in January. And then February was the reds to pinks. And then March was more corals. And so far down the line. So each month you got 10. And each one gives you just enough, at least with my gauge, just enough to make one granny square. And then you end up, I did a continuous join as you go with just a granny stitch. And I did row by row. And let me tell you, this blanket was a journey as well. I started with the Sunburst granny squares. I had done January, February, and March. I had 3 months of these squares done. And I joined them with, I was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to use a gray yarn. So instead of the white, like she was using, and other people were all using the white, I was like, I'm going to be different. I'm going to do gray. Well, I did not like it. I was like, okay, this is just, the colors aren't popping, obviously, because I'm using gray and not white. So I take them all out. I'm like, I'm going to do something else. And at the time I wanted to do a knit jelly roll blanket. So I was like, let's start that. So then I did all of January's, all of February's, and most of March's. I'm telling you, I ripped so much out last year, and I did not like the colors. Obviously I like the colors. I did not like the way it was turning out. I didn't enjoy the jelly roll knitting, the way it picked up, the way it twisted. I didn't care for it. The pattern is great, and so many people do it with scrap yarns, and they're just gorgeous, but I just didn't feel like, for me, they were showing off the way the white was popping against those Sunburst granny squares. So I've already ripped out all of the squares that I had done. Then I'm doing this jelly roll. Don't like that. Rip all those out and just start making them again. So I started redoing these squares. My mom had surgery in November, and I was halfway through January's squares in November because we were sitting up at the hospital. I was working on them. And so I went through November. I started this, and I'm finished. Like, it's all together. Finished, except I ran out of the white halfway around the border. I'm just putting another round of these. I couldn't decide, and I really don't want the border. It really doesn't need to be too exciting. The colors pop, and they are the main star of this show. So anyway, I had to wait. I went to the yarn store to get another skein of this yarn. I needed one more. I'm just using an undyed, what is it? It's Cascade Vintage DK. Oh my gosh, I'm using this yarn for so many projects right now. Anyway, they're really inexpensive, but it's an amazing DK weight that I've grown to love. I believe it's by Cascade. I'll have to find one of my little slips I've got laying around here, because I have that yarn in a lot of places down here. Anyway, they couldn't get it for a couple weeks, And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna be able to finish it. I really just need to finish going around the border. I need to finish the square, like weave in the ends, and I'm done and I'll hit my goal for February. I was like, well, this really isn't my fault, but that's where I start to go downhill. If I don't, I give myself leniency, and then, you know, give me an inch, I'll take a mile. So I knew I had bought so many skeins of this yarn in the beginning because I actually have multiple projects with the undyed white, whatever natural color it is. I knew I had, so I had looked quickly before I even went to the shop and I could not find it. And I had thought about it on my way home from the shop. I have one more project. Maybe there's a skein. Oh, found it. Found the skein. And so now tonight, it's a Friday night. We have nothing going on. I'm finishing this. I'm at least going to go around the borders. And then I've got all day tomorrow to weave in all those ends. So that's going to be lovely. But anyway, this is February's. So hopefully when I make my next video, I'll be able to be held accountable to you guys, and this will be done. And I am already deep into March's project that is taking a lifetime. But that's okay. So anyway, that was February's WIP goal. And now March's WIP goal. So for March, I am working on, and this project, I just started it maybe December. I think I started it. Also, after starting and ripping multiple times because I couldn't find the right sweater pattern. I'm making, oh my gosh, these fibers from these yarns. I'm making the Be Thankful cardigan by Lily Kate France. And again, because this is episode 1 and I have to look at myself to make sure I'm showing you guys everything. Everything's backwards, but it's the Be Thankful cardigan. I'm making it for my middle daughter, Jordan. I am using, okay, so it was not, I was wrong. It is not Cascade. It is Baracco Vintage DK. So here's their label. Again, sorry, it's backwards. But I'm using that held with this mohair silk from Leading Men fibers. And let me see where we're at. It's all twisted. But this is where we're at. Okay, that's here. So this is the right side. So I've got the ribbing and I've started going up and it is not in the round. So I'm purling my life away every other row. And the pattern is way more intense than I expected. It's not difficult at all. It's easy to follow. My problem was I've done one sweater, but it was super easy. I don't remember the name of it, but I finished it last year and it was really heavy, thick yarn. So it went really quick, and this has like short rows. So I'm really scared to get to those. I've done short rows with the socks that I've done I've done the fishlet, or what is it? I think it's just the short row heel is what it's called. I've done that for socks, but for the short row shaping, I'm not sure. I'm just really scared to get to that part. But anyway, I'm just chugging along on that. So that is my March project. I guess I'm gonna have to start using stitch markers to show you guys my progress. I've never had to do that, so I'm excited. I have so many fun stitch markers to use. So I'm gonna mark these off on my list of, okay, WIPs. So now I have three socks that have been lingering. 2 of them really have been lingering. This one, I finished the first one. And this was a collaboration with Coven Collective and Knitty in 2024. It's called Winter Magic Sockmas 2024. And I finished this one right away. It was my first dabble in color work. And I mean, I did the typical heel flap and gusset. I just did a shorter version of it. And then I did the shorty sock because I really I wasn't liking big tall socks until my mom gave me a bunch of pairs that she had knit. And now I love tall socks. So I think I'm going to have to start changing up how I make socks. But anyway, so I have one done. And the other one is in the bag that came from Coven Collective. Well, the other one is just 2 balls of yarn right now because that's where I'm at. I have not even started the second one yet. So I need to find my project notes so I know exactly what I did for this and find the pattern. I actually had printed out all my patterns and shrunk them down to a small like notebook size, and then I laminated them and they're held together. So my patterns that I use a lot, like the socks and stuff like that, so I don't have to print it out every time because I just follow the same pattern over and over again. But anyway, I'll show that off. Maybe the next episode I will show you fun things I've created or done or followed to keep myself organized. So anyway, this is a sock. This is one of the WIPS that I'm working on. And I usually do a medium size sock. I cast on 64 when using fingering weight. I don't remember, like I said, I don't have my project notes on that. So as we get in deeper, maybe when I finish it or when I'm working on it, I'll show better details of what everything is. So my other sock is this one. I absolutely love this sock. I was wanting to do a striped sock of some sort. I did the short row heel on this one. For each sock, or for each row, let's see, I cast on 64. I did 15 rows of knit 2 purl 2 for the ribbing, and then there were 6 colors. These were all minis, so there's 6 of those, and each one I did 8 rows, and then I did the heel, and then I figured out how many stitches I needed for my foot. I think I do 52 to 56 depending on the stretch or whatever. But for this, I just wanted to make sure and have enough. And then before I did my decreases, I did 3. I'll show on this side so you don't have the seam. But I did, it's pulling funny, but the decreases don't start until here. But anyway, I did 3 rows of each color down here to coordinate with the top. So I have one sock done there. The other one has not even been started. Again, it's in a bag that I made. And it's just got all my little balls and scraps and stuff like that. So that's my next project. I don't think I'm gonna make these like a full, like this wouldn't be my goal for April because a sock will only take me a week. Since I only have to make one, it should only take me a week at most. And the way I've been knitting, normally we have, my youngest plays club soccer and she does futsal in the winter. She has indoor winter trainings and stuff with her club team. And this year she was doing futsal and indoor soccer at an arena type place that they play locally. And she broke her collarbone. So we have not been able to go to any winter trainings or do any kind of futsal or weekend soccer. Like our lives went from crazy busy every night of the week, practices, running, trainings, whatever it was, to nothing. And we have nothing on the weekends. And we're in Missouri. I don't know if it's a countrywide thing or, you know, if it depends where you're at. But when you play for your club team, you can't play for your high school team at the same time. So if you play for your high school, again, you can't play in the spring. The girls play in the spring and for high school. And so because of that, there's no club for us even in the spring. she has chosen to play for her high school. So now the high school only has games during the week, and practices are right after school, so we don't have to pick her up until after practice. So it's not, and my husband's been the coach for years with her. He's been assistant coach and things like that. And so we were at every practice, all our friends, like our whole family life is this club team she's been on forever. And now they're all still practicing and playing because a lot of the girls on her team were younger, because at the time it went by birth year. And so some of them are 8th graders and some of them are freshmen, and our daughter is a freshman. So anyway, she's no longer playing club. Our friends are still doing it. They're still doing the practices and seeing each other all the time and together on the weekends, and we have nothing, which it sounds glorious. Like, especially in the winter when it's super cold on a Saturday or Sunday, you know, I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to do anything. On Sundays, we go to church, we come home, and I do nothing but, you know, binge watch some crime TV and, you know, documentaries or Hallmark. I'm a big Hallmark movie watcher, all those things. Like, that is the perfect Sunday. But usually I get a couple weeks of that or a month, but she has trained year round for so long that this is just new to us. So anyway, all of that, sorry, I'm a babbler also, all of that to say, I have a lot of knitting and crochet time now. So setting a pair of socks for a month, maybe I should do both socks for April. Maybe that would be my goal, because that would be a little more realistic to go there. Because I also have a third sock, which is going to keep piling on. The yarn that just came actually has to do with this next project. So the next project is in this cute Charlie Brown bag that I got from Kohl's. I was going to give it to my daughter for Christmas because she loves Snoopy and all things Charlie Brown, but this project is a year-long thing. It's kind of for her. So because of that, I kept the bag for myself, and I even told her, I was like, so this is mine now. Anyway, all the yarns that I'm getting, I'm doing a monthly. They did an advent. So this is from, the yarn is from Stitchin' with Yarn. They did an advent calendar last year, and at the beginning of the year when they start putting out their feelers and you can purchase advent calendars, I really didn't know a lot about them, and I didn't know a lot of the hand dyers that did them. I didn't know of those dyers, and so I didn't know to be on the lookout, and I missed out on a lot. Well, anyway, Stitchin' with Yarn did a Charlie Brown advent. I fell in absolute love with it when I started seeing everybody post when they got their advent in December, and I had some serious FOMO about being left out of these projects. But I wrote the dyer and I was like, is there any way you have an extra? Did someone not pay, you know, something? Can I, you know, do you have one? And she's like, no, I'm so sorry. She's like, but in 2026, every month I'm going to put out a collection of yarns that coordinate with Charlie Brown. So for January, it was actually it was Snoopy. It was Snoopy with the house and then woodchuck. So the colors were white and black, red and yellow. So this is the main color. It was the white and the red and the black. And then I got the two minis, because you can just get that main color or you can also get the coordinating ones. And I got the coordinating ones, which was the red and then this yellow and black. So with those, I'm making her socks every month. So the ones that just came in the mail today that I'll get after this, and I'll show them on the next one, they coordinate, I believe it was with Lucy. I think I'd have to look. But anyway, so I'm going to make those socks. But these ones I'm doing 2 at a time. I'm following all my socks, 99% of the socks that I make are the Crazy Sock Lady vanilla socks. Sometimes I've done the vanilla bean. I've done a couple other ones. but I always go back to the vanilla sock, and especially doing 2 at a time. I've only done 2 at a time one other time, and it's just easier to do a vanilla sock because then I don't have to think much at all. I just don't have to think. So here we go. I have the cuffs done, and then I did the 2 stripes, and then the rest of it is just going to be the main color. Now my goal, and what I had told my daughter, was that with the leftovers after the socks, I'm going to make a blanket for the whole year of whatever's left. But I don't know how much of each one I'm going to have left. And like for February, she didn't put out 2 coordinating yarns that went with the main color. So I don't know how to handle that either. So I don't know if I should just kind of do a scrap blanket, or if I just need to wait till the year is over and see what kind of yarn I have and then go from there. But I don't know where I'm at with that. But for now, we're going to do the socks. And then I told her she knows what I'm doing, but I told her she can't have the socks until Christmas, and I'm going to give her all 12 pairs. But the problem is, like, February's yarn is just coming today. So when it gets to December, the yarn for her December socks will come, what, like the 27th? I don't know, 26th, 27th, depending on if it's a weekend or whatever it is. And I'm not going to have a lot of time. Well, it'd be past Christmas. So it'd really be maybe her New Year's gift. Maybe I'll give them to her for New Year's, but that would be very ambitious to get an entire pair of socks done in 4 days. But, who knows? We'll see where we're at. The sock itself, whatever sock I'm working on, is going to be in this little project bag. And it's the perfect size. This is the little bag. And so those are in there. And then all the yarn for the year. If I pick a blanket, if I start something, maybe I'll just kind of do a diagonal. And then when I get through June, I'll just start going the other way. And it is what it is, whatever size. If it's a throw blanket, she can put it on her chair or whatever. Okay, so my next project, I started I don't know when the yarn would have come, November. So I was working on it because I showed it to my mom when I went up for her surgery. I'm basing my timelines on that. But I'm doing a Doodle cowl by Pacific Knit Co. And I'm with Pacific Knit Co. If you're not familiar with them, she does a lot of color work charts, and she has like these card decks. And I bought her book, which I did not bring down with me, but I also was a member online on her website. You could do like a VIP membership and have access to all her doodle patterns, or at least a majority of them. So I started this Doodle cowl, and I'm doing the hearts there, and then there's Christmas trees, but it's a whole winter Christmas theme that I basically am copying a lot of the pattern and not structure, but the pattern and the different ones. I'm not putting them in the exact same order, but Moonglow Yarn Co. That's where the yarn is from. It's her kit of yarn. And let me see if I wrote my notes down. I did not, but it's the Merry and Bright set. The Moonglow Yarn Co. Merry and Bright set of yarn. I bought the cowl kit because when she released them, you could do like a sock set, a mini set, you could do full skeins, or you could do like these 50-gram sock yarn skeins, which is what I did. So it's just these gorgeous, oh my gosh, colors. These, and then there's pink, there's rosy pink and red, and then a pale pink, and then this teal. So I really think this project is going to have to wait, or will wait, until the weather changes again from warm to cold months, along with that snowflake sock. I don't know that I'm gonna want to work on Christmassy things in the middle of April or May, but who knows? In July, it is miserable in St. Louis, and Christmas in July is a real thing on Hallmark, on, you know, Lifetime movies. They like to do a lot of stuff like that. So maybe I can, you know, turn the air conditioner down real low so it's nice and cold in the house and get myself motivated, and maybe that'll be like my June or July project. We'll see where we're at in June and July and what project. I don't really have an order for getting these done. It's just whatever I feel like that month, whichever project really spikes my interest, and we're just gonna go full force. So with that being a cowl, it's really not huge, you know, but it's time consuming because I'm not very fast with my color work yet. I'm still very new to it. Before the cowl, the only color work I've done was on that snowflake sock. So we'll see. That one is in one of these Delique bags, and it says, love your little yarn shop. It has this cute little, looks like a VW bug on it. I love these bags. My mom got me hooked on those bags. So that is one. And I think we're down to just a couple more. So I have yet again another Moonglow Yarn Co. project, and this was their winter advent. She put out an advent that was not a surprise. A lot of advents, again, if you're not familiar, a lot of advents, you open one thing a day, like one little bundle a day, so you don't know what colors are coming. A lot of times they'll put out like a poster picture of their inspiration and colors, so you can kind of see. I did end up getting an advent, and maybe when I go over my finished projects one day, I can show that off. I did a cowl, and I bought mine from Beach Bum Yarn Co., and it was like a space theme. So the colors were bright and funky and fun, and it was really cool. But I am not good at waiting. So I had every intention of opening this advent one day at a time and working on a project. And the box came and they were all individually wrapped. And I will tell you, it took less than 10 minutes for me to decide, nope, we're opening them all now. My two younger daughters sat there. We each took, like, I did one, the next did two, the next did three, the next did, I did 4, 5, 6, you know, so we went in a little triangle of opening them all and oohing and eyeing over the colors, and it was a lot of fun. Anyway, Whitney with Moonglow Yarn Co., she did a winter advent, but she showed exactly the colors that it was going to be. So it came, and I'm using the bag for the other Moonglow yarn project, but it came in this cute Moonglow Yarn Co. bag, canvas bag. It's zips. It's amazing. It's got these two big outside, oh, my stitch markers I was looking for. It's got two big outside pockets. And yeah, it came in there, and she added this card. So these are all the colors that came. There were 24 of them, which is what a typical advent is. Some will do like a 15-day, 14-day countdown, whatever like that. I mean, all the advents are different, which is really fun. You can get a whole bunch of variety, and you know, like this one, you knew exactly what was coming. So for this one, again, I started like 2 or 3 different times, different patterns, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And these are mini skeins, like 20-gram skeins of DK weight. And some of the patterns that I was finding, my gauge, I was switching needles, and I went down so many needle sizes, and I still could not hit gauge. I was trying to do a zigzag blanket, and I thought I had the pattern down here, but I don't even have it anymore because I have the pattern printed. But I was so frustrated with it. It was something, Susie's scrap blanket maybe, but I could not, yeah, here it is. Crochet Advent baby blanket, because there's actually patterns out there that go along with Advents, so you can kind of be prepared and know, because you know you have a specific amount of yarn, you know, that if you start especially day one and you do it how it's intended, you don't want to get halfway through it and not have enough yarn, or however that may be. I can't find the opening page. But either way, I was doing this and I could not hit gauge and I kept running out of yarn. Here it is. Crochet Advent baby blanket. And it was made for DK weight. So I was following, this is by Lucienne Crochet. And I'll put the titles down below of everything that I've been showing, and links if I can get it, so you can look them up yourself. But anyway, I could not hit gauge. So then I kept ripping out, trying new projects, gave up for a while, and I finally found a lot of people were doing the bounce blanket, and Whitney from Moonglow does a lot of the bounce blankets. So with her yarn. So I knew exactly what it was going to look like. So I'm doing the bounce blanket by Tin Can Knits, and I hit gauge. Everything's perfect. Let me see. I don't know that I have it. Did I write down what size? Nope, I didn't write down what size needles, and I don't have my glasses on, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to see. But I've got a couple days started on this. Turn it around. So here it is. It is so cute. And the colors are just, they're gorgeous. And it's a faded rainbow. So it's going to be different than the bright, bold rainbow that I've done. But like I said, I absolutely love any of Moonglow Yarn Co. Clearly, I've got quite a bit of it right now. And I'm excited for her spring collection when she puts that out. She just was talking about that on her most recent podcast. So I'm looking forward to that. And let's see, it looks like I'm using a US size 7. Yep, US size 7 in ChowGoo needles. I almost exclusively use ChowGoo needles. My mom gave me a set of Haya interchangeables, but the ends just aren't as pointy, and I just love these. And the cords don't kink. I've tried the Knitter's Pride, or the Knit Zings. I don't know what their interchangeables are called anymore, but I've tried those and I like the needles themselves. They've got good grip, but not too much. But the problem is their cords are so, I'm constantly like readjusting my stance, like how I'm holding things to get these cords to relax. And with the ChowGoos, I don't have to do that. So I absolutely love those. But anyway, so the Bounce Blanket by Tin Can Knits. Uh-oh, this was a pattern, a different pattern. So the blanket itself is in another Delique small little bitty bag. And I like this one. It's a good size for socks. And right now it's okay for the blanket, because all of the yarn is being held in this is a bag that I made myself. I was on a bag kick for a really long time. I was sewing nonstop, but all of the colors are wound and ready to go. And I will have enough, actually, so everything is on this footrest. All my notes, let me move these. I have enough yarn left over after each color with this pattern that I can actually make a second baby blanket with it. So let me open the footrest. And this is the first one I had started. But these, I don't have the pattern. I'll look for it. But you just do a square and then white and then a square. And then there will be a white, like inch. It'll be, you know, however, 1, 2, 3. It'll be 4 rows down each one when you join them. So then they'll look like little check boxes. And I have, like I said, I have enough of each color. This was the start of the next row. But I have enough of each color to do that. So I'll have another small baby blanket for that. And yeah, so that's super exciting. So my last WIP that I'm working on, now let me get my notes all back in order because I just kind of threw everything behind me. Oh goodness. We're a mess. Like I said, this is episode 1. I gotta stop looking at myself and looking at, at you guys and get my life together here. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have patterns and notes everywhere. So my final WIP is the Cozy Comfort Throw. And I'm doing this with Little Wolf Knits Schitt's Creek year number 5. So she had posted that she had some leftover advents, and this is actually just a countdown. And I don't know if she did them in, I think it was like a July countdown, but she did 5 years of Schitt's Creek. She might, I don't really know since I'm late to the game on all of these, but hers is a 30-day countdown. So there's 30 colors. I'm doing this on a US size 8, 5mm. And I have day 1 done, and I've started day 2. I think day 2 starts like right here where these browns pick up. They're not far off from each other, the colors right now. These 2 days are not far off. So I opened the first, I told you I can't wait. I opened the first 15 days, and then I did a magic knot, and I knotted 5 days at a time together. So days, this is on my, I have one of those little like magnetic things, but this is days 1 through 5 is on here right now. So I'm holding this with a bare yarn, and this is the fingering weight of that Baracco vintage yarn. They have fingering weight. So this is just bare, undyed, and holding them together to make this kind of marled look. So this will be, I was going to do 1 stripe a day, and then I pulled out these other projects and I got jumping on the Moonglow, and then I wanted to do my daughter's sweater, so I jumped on that next. But that's my 2026 WIPs carried over from years gone by, and I already have yarn wound and ready to go for so many new projects. My daughter and son-in-law are ready to start a family, so I do have a lot of projects. My daughter and I made a Pinterest board of different things. They want like a barnyard Highland cow themed bedroom or nursery for the baby. So of course I've already purchased so many patterns for Highland cow themed stuff and blankets and amigurumi crochet little guys and little loveys and all the things. So those are already ready and rolled up, wound, ready to go. But I keep putting those off because it'd be nice to have some WIPs done and then just be clearly ready to do all of that. So I have those on the horizon. And then I also have, like, two of my nieces, I have 2 older sisters, and each of their oldest children are daughters and are girls, my nieces. Anyway, they're both getting married this year. And a couple weeks ago, we drove to Wisconsin to go wedding dress shopping. And of course, there was the biggest yarn place that I've ever been to. It is called Fox River. Oh my gosh, I can't talk. Fox River Fibers. And again, sorry, it's backwards because episode 1. We're just going to blame everything on episode 1. But I got this gorgeous yarn. And I already wound it up. Like, the day I got home, I wound it up. Look at all these colors. So much fun. This is their fingering weight yarn base. And then, yeah, fingering weight. It's called Tequila Sock Ecstasy. Fingering weight, 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, hand dyed, Fox River Fibers. So that's their house yarn. And then I got this gorgeous magenta color to go with it. And I want to make, I've got a secret hat, I believe is what it's called, where like this will be the main color of the hat that you see on the outside. But when you look under the brim, this color is going to pop out. And I believe I've got enough yarn that I can make 2 of them. So then the other one, this will be the main color, and then this will be hiding underneath. So that's super fun. So that is just hanging out. And this color, let's see, this is Sparkle Sock by the Leading Men, Fiberarts. I love their yarn also. They're a small hand-dyed, well, I don't know how small they are. They're a hand-dyed, they've got a shop and everything in Clinton, Illinois. My mom has actually been there and she toured. The lady took her on a tour in the back and everything. But they have come to the Yarn Festival. It's the Midwest Fiber Festival in St. Louis. And I'll be going to that in April. And I just love their colors. I love their yarn. So this is their sparkle. And then this. So with sock yarn, or fingering weight, I guess I should say, I'm always so tempted, like, oh, just make socks with it, just make socks with it. But how many, I mean, don't ask me how many socks I need because there's never enough. I love hand-dyed socks, but even though the monotony of a blanket I can handle, socks, they're just so, the tiny needles, I don't know. I do like to do them when I'm walking on the treadmill. I have not branched out to walking in the neighborhood and knitting yet. The reason being, I got a walking pad so I could walk and knit, and I'm good at that. Then we got a puppy so I could walk outside and motivate me on the days that I don't want to walk. Even if I don't want to walk, the dog always wants to walk. We've got a chocolate lab. His name is Enzo. I'm sure he will make an appearance in these videos because he's crazy. I have a lot, oh my gosh, I have a lot of leftovers from the first blanket I showed you. All that Malabrigo yarn. I have all the leftovers. So many of them. And my mom gave me her leftovers, which most of our colors overlapped. We each bought different kits. I think she didn't even buy an actual kit because the company that we went through, they sold pre-packaged kits of yarn bundles, you know, like if you want woodland colors or, you know, whatever. Like I got a berry something color kit, and what I think she might have just picked out her 10 colors. And like I said, a lot of them overlapped. She saw ones that I had and liked them and incorporated into hers. I'll have to have her send me a picture of her blanket sometime, and I need to find the pattern that we originally started out with because it is a great pattern. My mom loved it. She did a great, fantastic job because she actually paid attention when she put it down, what row she was on, and she's responsible like that. I am a very irresponsible knitter and did not do that. Anyway, I have all these leftovers, and I have 19. 19 was the final color that I got to. And for 2 of them, like we had each picked these like rosy colors, but I think we had different dye lots. So they're a little bit off, but I don't want to pull number 14. Like say I marked one as 14 and then this one as 15. What if I pull 14 and 15 and then they're next to each other? I'm not going to like that. So what I'm doing, I love when people, and I have my notes in it, so ignore that. But I love when people have these flat little baskets and they're full of little granny squares. And, you know, as they're progressively working on their project, the stacks and the rows start going together. So what I want to do is make a granny square project. I want it to be huge. I want it to cover an entire bed. Here I go again. Every blanket has to be big and huge. I can't just make a tiny baby blanket. It has to be big. But this one, I saw someone lay out her blanket over a bed, and maybe I'll just do a twin size and put it in the guest bedroom because we have a twin bed in there. And it's just gorgeous. It looks so homey. And I actually have the blanket that was over our recliner my entire life in our basement. We had this black, awful, worn out leather chair in our basement because the basement was like our hangout. The kids all hung out down there. And our friends would come over. It had the ugliest red, yellow, and orange with black speckled shag carpeting and wood paneling on the walls. That was our basement in the house growing up. The upstairs looked nothing like that, but that was the basement. But it was our teen hangout. Who cares? Anyway, we had this granny square blanket, and I asked my mom a couple of years ago. I was like, "Do you still have this blanket? I need this blanket." And she's like, "I don't even know what you're talking about." I was like, "Mom, it was downstairs." Finally, we talked about it. I was like, it was the ugliest colors. But I was like, I need this blanket in my life. Can you find it? I want it in my home. And now she found it. She brought it to me. Hold on, it's right here. This is like typical 70s granny square blanket. But anyway, fond memories. My grandma, I actually have that right across the room from me on a quilt stand. My grandma crocheted each of us a blanket when we were little, and it's so hard. Like, I don't even know if I could soften it. I've never like snuggled up with it. It's always been over the back of like a wooden rocking chair. Right now it's on a quilt stand. But my grandma made it for me. So I have very fond memories of crochet blankets. So anyway, I want one on this guest bed. And land your plane. Episode 1, okay? Episode 1. So I have all these colors, and what I'm going to do, I went out and I found a 20-sided dice, 20-sided. So I'm going to roll it twice, and whatever 2 colors come up, those are the 2 I'm going to work on. Put those together, and then I'm going to border it with, I don't know if I want to use a neutral. You see, these are all Malabrigo worsted. So I'm thinking of maybe getting like a beige Malabrigo to border it. I want it to look vintage, so I don't want it to be like a stark white. I want it to be a cream, but I don't really, like, all of the Malabrigo yarns I chose are like marledy looking. I mean, I've got like there's no solid colors. They're hand dyed. So I'd kind of like a marled cream with, I don't know, dominantly cream, but maybe some brown speckles. I don't know. I don't know if I should branch away from Malabrigo or if I should just stick with the brand that I'm using so that they all feel the same and wash the same. But is it really a big deal? I'm just going to put it on a bed. And whoever, I mean, we don't really get a lot of guests. My parents come and my dad will sleep in there. My mom loves our couches. So we had 2 guest bedrooms at one point, and she never slept in there. So the kids took the bigger bed, the queen bed that we had as a guest bed, and swapped it out for their twin bed. And so now we just have a twin bed. Anyway, that makes my life easier for a blanket. I thought those would be easy, like on the go things, if I pre-roll like 50 squares in advance, maybe, you know, and then those are the 2. Because if I sit there and try to pair, okay, well, I'm doing teal and magenta on this one, then tomorrow am I going to do teal? There's going to need to be hundreds of squares. So I'm going to be using every combination of these yarns, since there's only 20. I'm going to be using a lot of the combinations, but just for me, so that it's a random selection. I think it's just going to add some fun to roll the dice, and you know, it is what it is. That's what we're doing. That's my motivation. But that might be a 5-year. Maybe that'll be a 5-year goal, because that's going to take forever to do. And then I'm going to have to stitch them all together. I don't know what I'm thinking, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. We're going to do it. We're at least going to start it this year. I mean, it's all ready to go. It's in this cute Della-Q bag. They're all numbered. They're all baggied up and ready to go. I just need to figure out, since I'm crocheting these, I need to figure out what crochet hook size I'm going to use. So I need to, maybe I don't know, I keep adding things on to what I'm going to do tonight. And all of a sudden tonight's going to be over if I don't stop babbling. And maybe I'll make some swatches and try and see if I even like this. And I definitely don't have any worsted weight yarn in Malabrigo that would be a color that I like. I do have a lot of worsted weight yarn, like Red Hearts and stuff like that, but I'm just worried that it's going to be too stiff compared to the Malabrigo. Like, this is just me. Thought process brainstorming. But yeah, so that is my WIP project knit crochet along for the year for 2026. And yeah, I finished this one last year. This cute crochet blanket was the daisy squares. A lot of people were doing those. My daughter and I, my youngest, we picked out the colors, and then we did something similar to what I want to do with this Malabrigo. I put all of the yarn colors. I didn't have enough sided dice, I guess. So we numbered each yarn, and then she just pulled out of a hat, like, okay, your next square, your next flower is going to be, inner is going to be this one, petals is going to be this, outside is going to be this. And she did that for however many squares this ended up being. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 6. So for 30 squares, she did that for me. And then as I finished one, I just went on to the next, and then we laid them out to, however, I didn't want a pattern. I just wanted random, and they ended up being random. I think I ended up making maybe one more, because one that I had made was green, and there just wasn't anywhere to put it that I didn't have like a lot of other greens or something like that. But for the most, we pulled the things, and that's how we did that one. So yeah, that is where I'm at for this year. So again, thank you so much for joining me on my very first podcast, and for sticking with me through all the ums and the hiccups and the interruptions and sipping out of my drink and looking at myself as I was just doing there, and everything being backwards and all of the things. We're going to work on all these things, and I hope you'll be along with us for the year. I'm excited to already be on top of things and working on my journey. The last thing, which I originally had planned for tonight, was to get all my notes in one place and work on my journal. I bought a journal today, this notepad, to put all my notes, because even though I was good about putting stuff in here for a long time, I have loose papers everywhere with random notes on them. So to put them all in one place. And then I'm also working on a scrapbook. This was a tester page where I print out, I have this little tiny Kodak printer, and I can fit 4 of these on one little printout. And then I was just going to put obviously it's backwards, but these were some preemie hats my mom and I were making baby hats, and this was a pair of socks. But I put who's the pattern was by. I'm going to put, let's see, the pattern, the designer, the yarn I used, the needles used, start, finish dates, and who I made it for. And so I'm going to do that for each of them. My oldest daughter is an avid book reader, and she did a fantastic job last year. Every book she read, I don't even know. It was a high number, like 80 books last year, maybe something like that. And she tracked each one of them, and her layout was very similar to this. So I want to work on that for this year. I have my journal already started. It's just transferring everything. But until I have everything in order, note-wise, which is what this is for, I can't really do that. So one thing leads to another. So between the knitting, the crocheting, and now editing this video, there may not be a lot of edits. I don't know really my skills in that level. My daughter, my youngest, said I need to hire an editor, which means hire her, which means I'm either going to be buying a lot more boba or Starbucks, or Neatos is the thing she's into right now. I'll be buying a lot of that in return for my editing. Bad idea? I don't think so. I think it's a great idea. So that's where we're at. Anyway, hope you guys all enjoyed this and my ridiculous babbling. And I hope to see you guys in 1 week to show you the progress of whatever I decide to work on. That sweater is priority number 1. And I'm going to stick a stitch marker on it as soon as I get off of here. And I will show you next week where I'm at with it. So until then, have a wonderful and blessed weekend, and see you next time.